Hi cozy friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sammy and today I'm going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I have quite a few books. I have a whole entire bookshelf. I have an extra little like cart and places where they are here and there, but I think I really need to organize them and a little bit differently, and also just kind of do a little bit of an inventory sort of as far as like what books I already own, because I know that there are probably way more books that I own that I haven't read than I have read. So this year I kind of wanted to do my TBR a little bit differently, because since I have so many books that I haven't read, I thought it would be a good idea to do a TBR where I try to only read books throughout this entire year that I already own and see how many we can get through. So I have a couple of questions that I personally want to answer for this video. One, how many books do I actually own? And two, how many books do I own that I've already read? And how many books that I own that I haven't read? So how long is my actual TBR? So that'll be really interesting to find out during this video. But first, I thought that I would go ahead and show you the books that I received for Christmas this year. I haven't read them yet, so they will be on the list of books that I own that I haven't read yet. So I thought I would go ahead and show you those. It's just a few, and then we'll get to it. We're gonna do some organizing and we'll figure out that number. So let's go ahead and see the books that I received for Christmas. So it's just a few, like I said. So we'll start out with the Christmassy one. So it's this Dickens of a Christmas, or Dickens at Christmas. I've been wanting this book for a while because, well, first of all, I just thought it was really cute, the cover. And actually, I haven't even taken off the dust jacket yet, so I wonder what it looks like. All right, so it's just a blue thing, but it has this pretty silver, so that's nice. But really, I just liked the art on the dust jacket. But the reason I wanted it is because I don't really have a lot of, well, at least I don't think I do. I guess we'll see after the end of this video, but I don't really think I have a lot of Christmassy books. And so sometimes, like at Christmas time, I'd really like to kind of get into the spirit by reading more like Christmas stories. And so I really wanted this, and so my mom actually got it for me for Christmas. So that was really sweet, and I'm excited to save this for the holiday season next year. So super excited for that one. So, oh, and if I didn't explain it very well, it's a bunch of different, I think it's a bunch of different stories. I think it's a bunch of different stories that Charles Dickens actually wrote. So let's see. Yeah, it's a selection of seasonal writing. So I know that everything in here is written by Charles Dickens, but let's see. So of course A Christmas Carol will be in here. So yeah, so I think it's a bunch of like basically short stories, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he began his writing career by writing for the paper, or like a literary journal, the Pickwick Papers, I believe. But anyways, so he began his literary journal, or his literary career writing for this paper, and so I think it's the stories that he wrote for that. So I'm excited to read this next year. I don't always get to a lot of reading during the holiday season, because it's kind of, while it's the best season of the year, it's also kind of the busiest. So my reading tends to be on the lower end during that time of year, but I think I'm going to try to make a concentrated effort to read a little bit more this coming season, but I have some time to build up to that. So anyways, my mom also got me this Real Murders book. It's one of those like cozy mysteries, and I don't know if any of you watch Hallmark Channel, but I'm certainly a big fan. And this is the I think it's the first book in the Aurora Teagarden mysteries, and so I actually did start it, and I will say, probably maybe not for the first time ever, but at least for like maybe the second or third time ever, I'm actually kind of preferring the TV version. I think that they've made a few like changes to what this I don't know, not necessarily the plot, but like the characters that I feel like made the story a little bit better in the TV show. So I don't know. I haven't really got into it yet. I read a little bit, but I think I've only gotten like this far. See, so I'm not giving it its best chance to say that I like the series better. But the reason I do is because in the series on TV on Hallmark Channel, they have the main character is Aurora Teagarden, of course, and she's played by Candace Cameron Bure. And in the show, she has a best friend who is a reporter, and she and Sally kind of like have this nice, you know, camaraderie and friendship and stuff. And I just feel like it adds like a whole nother level to the story, just for having her have like a close friend that she can have, I don't know, like a more warm personality, I guess. But she doesn't have a close friend yet in this book. And Sally, the reporter, is like much older than her and not her best friend from high school. And so I think maybe if I hadn't seen the show prior to reading this, I maybe wouldn't miss that. But I missed that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure that it will be a good book. But I mean, it's a New York Times bestseller, so we'll see. We'll see. But I'm definitely willing to give it a go. But I was disappointed to see that Sally was not the same. And then the next book I got was The Huntress by Kate Quinn. And this one I'm excited about because one of my best friends, I don't know if this is one of, or it might be actually her favorite author. And I have another book by her that I have not read yet, so it'll be another on my not read list. But this is a historical fiction book, and I've heard just such good things from my friend about this. So I'm very excited to read this. I actually had this on my list of books that I wanted prior to even hearing that it's one of my friend's favorites. So we must have similar taste. So since it's one of her favorites, I'm very excited to give it a shot. So this is definitely high on the list of ones that I'll read this year. And then on the different spectrum, I received a series that is a fantasy series. So it is from V.E. Schwab's, what's the series? The Shades of Magic. So I think the first one is, A Darker Shade of Magic. So I know that this is about I think it's about that there are 3 parallel worlds, I believe. And so specifically London's, I believe it's set in London. And there is certain people, or maybe just one certain person, I'm not sure, that can travel between the different Londons. And so I don't actually really know what the conflict or anything is. I just think that that's kind of a cool concept. And also I've heard a few good things about it. So I'm excited to give this a shot. I think it'll be definitely interesting. And also I think that it'll be fun, just the magical aspect. So that'll just be a fun read, I hope. We'll see. But anyways, so those are all the books that I got for Christmas. Now let's get into the sort of inventory and organizing part, and then we'll see what I have. I was just about to start the taking everything off my shelves and the inventory part, and then I realized I'm dumb and I forgot to tell you what this book is about. So basically this book is it's set at I told you it was historical fiction, but it's set during World War II, and it's about the all-female led they're called the Night Witches, which already kind of cool. And they are a bombing, nighttime bombing people to bomb the Eastern Front, I think, or something. But they are against the Nazis. And then one of the members of the Night Witches, she is hunted by this Nazi murderous lady called the Huntress, I think, is kind of what this is about. But we'll see. But I know that it's going to be good because my friend loved it so much. So we shall see. I'll keep you posted when I actually read it.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Okay, so I think that I've got all my shelves cleared off. I have several different spots that I tend to keep books, and I just realized there's one where my yarn is. I know it's a weird spot, but it actually had a knitting pattern in it, so I have one more book to put in this pile. But I think this is all the books that I actually currently have, other than the ones that I've actually lent out. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to organize all these books, because I think it's a little bit more than I thought. And actually, I had quite a bit more like nonfiction than I thought that I would, so I'm curious to see what that number will be. But yeah, I think I definitely need to organize it a little better, because I had a few surprises in my shelves that I wasn't really expecting. Not that I didn't know that I had them, but I definitely forgot. And so I need to organize in a way that allows me to be more aware of what I actually have, because there were several books that I pulled out and I was like, oh, I forgot that I had that, or oh, I have multiple copies of this one book. Not multiple, but I know that I have more than one copy of Pride and Prejudice, and I know that I have more than one copy of the Wednesday Letters, and I think there was one more, although now I'm forgetting what that was, or if that even was. So anyways, I just know that there were several things that I pulled out that I thought, oh, I didn't realize I had that. So I know that this is going to be a fun little adventure for me to kind of like revisit all of the books that I either have read or have forgotten that I have that I want to read. So, but again, yeah, I was definitely surprised with the number of nonfiction that I have. And I think at the beginning of the video, I said that I wanted to read books that I already have for the whole year. And I still want to do that, but going through some of these books already, I know that like there are a couple of books that I still want to buy. So it's gonna be some pretty supreme self-control if I can make it through the entire year without buying any new books. So we shall see. But and specifically there are like a couple of series that I don't have the final book in. So I'm not sure that I will be able to not eventually buy that should I decide to reread those or put those towards the front of my shelf where I can see them, because I'm going to want that last book, and then also since I've been doing this project, I was talking to one of my friends, and she has been like getting into reading more, and she's recommended a book that sounds really interesting, sounds really good. And so yeah, this is going to be an extreme self-control challenge for me to not buy any books this year, but we'll see how it goes. And then also the other thing is that I wonder if I can find it real quick or not. Let's see. It's probably behind me. It's at the bottom of this stack right here. So I can't actually pull it out, but I found like a complete Jane Austen works, which I knew that I had. I knew that I had this book, but it reminded me that I really want to have them individually. I know I do have like 2 or 3 copies of Pride and Prejudice, but I really would like to have like nice copies of them, because Pride and Prejudice is one of my all-time favorite books, and I would like to read the other Jane Austen books. I haven't really read them because they're in this huge book that's like it's a paperback, but it's like this thick, and so it's kind of hard to read, and it's uncomfortable, and it's heavy, and I don't know. So I know it's a dumb excuse, but it's the truth. So I would really, really love to have like a nice collection of those. So if I do buy any books, it might be those, because I already own them, and so I don't know if that would necessarily be cheating, right? So anyways, I already have the ones I want picked out. I just I don't know, we'll see if I add those to the shelves, but that's kind of my initial thoughts after pulling all these off and kind of revisiting some of these books. I do have a couple of books that I was really excited to pull out. So like, for example, this one, how cute. It's Winnie the Pooh, and like I remember buying this. I bought it for $4. But I think I got it like thrifting, and I just loved Winnie the Pooh, and like, well, I still do. I mean, I don't really think you can outgrow Winnie the Pooh, you know? But I just thought this was such a cute little copy, and it has cute little honeybees. I don't know if you'll be able to really see what they are, but it has cute little honeybees on it, and then it has some sweet illustrations, and I was happy to find that. I found several children's books that I was really happy to find. I don't have children, but hopefully one day I will, and it'll be really fun to read these books to them. So I found that. I have a fairy tale book, which also has a cute cover. I may as well show you. Then this one I specifically remember getting when, after I graduated college, my mom, my sister, and I took a sort of a road trip. We flew out to California, and we did a road trip up the what's it called? Pacific Coast Highway, and we stopped at several little spots in different towns, and we stopped in the cutest little, I think it was like a Danish town or something like that, and actually that does make sense, so according to this book, but anyways, called Solving, and it's the cutest town. If you're in California, I highly recommend going. But there was a bookshop called the Book Loft, and I got this this sweet little copy of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales. So I remember finding this and being like, wow, this is so cute. What a fun souvenir of like buying a book. And I didn't really think at the time like, oh, I'll remember this trip every time I see this book, but actually I really do. Every time I see this little book, I think about our trip. So if you love books, I highly recommend that as a souvenir. And then I'll just show you one other little surprise that, well, I knew that I had this, but it was underneath my bookshelf. What the heck? Why would I put this underneath my bookshelf? Because it's actually so beautiful. But I've been actually wanting to find it because I've been getting into watercolor more, and so I found this. It's the Beatrix Potter complete Peter Rabbit, and so it has like, I mean, just this is the cover. I mean, the inside cover. It's like this fun map of the Peter Rabbit world. So of course there's a bunch of like illustrations all throughout. And I don't know, I just really have been wanting to find this because I find it, I think it will be really inspirational. Like, I don't know if did I just say that I've been getting into watercolor? And so I don't know if you know, you probably do if you're a fan of Peter Rabbit, but Beatrix Potter was the illustrator and like author of these, and she was a watercolorist. So yeah, I think this will be very inspirational as I continue on with my watercolor journey. But yeah, I've been wanting to find this, and I thought to myself, I think I bought that like really nice copy several years ago because I was thinking like, oh, I should buy that. But again, that's not my challenge for the year. My challenge is to not buy new books. But anyways, so I thought that I had remembered buying it, and I think I said to myself at the time, oh, this is a children's book, I'll just buy it now, and I'll save it for later. But I can enjoy it now, so I'm glad that I found this. I'm going to put it on a supreme spot, because look how pretty it is. I mean, this doesn't have to hide away until I have children. I can enjoy this now. So, yes, definitely some reorganization, and I'm excited to count. Oh, and I think I'm going to predict. Based on just the stacks of books here, I'm going to say around 400. That's my guess. So if you would like to guess before watching through the video, please comment below your guess, because I'm curious to see how close we'll get. So, all right, let's get to organizing. Of a workout. I've got all my books kind of separated into different stacks. So I have a young adult fantasy, I guess, type stack. Well, stacks. Okay, so I have a fantasy stack, a classics stack, a historical fiction stack, a middle grade children's book stack, several stacks of nonfiction, which kind of surprised me. Like I said in the beginning, whenever I was first emptying my shelves, I definitely did not realize how much nonfiction I have, which I think is good and bad. It's good that I'm interested in learning, but also I know that I haven't read a lot of these, so maybe this is the year I'll be reading a little bit more nonfiction, but we'll see. I also have a few stacks of I guess just fiction, or maybe a little bit of romance and fiction, I suppose. It just isn't classics or fantasy, so whatever else category. I definitely have a few more Christmas books than I thought, but also I'm always willing to add to that stack because, I love that time of year. So it's probably one of my smaller stacks, but definitely more than I thought. So happy with that. And then I have a little bit of a learning stack, which I guess can go with the nonfiction, but I'm not sure whether I'll count that in my full-on number of books that I have, because I'm not gonna go to my bookshelf and pick up a dictionary and start reading that, or I don't know, I have this book here, for example. It's It's called America's Wonderful Little Hotels and Inns. And I think one time I was like at my grandparents' house, and I think, I'm trying to remember exactly why I picked this up, but I think I just thought it would be interesting, and I thought like it would be cool to maybe go on like a road trip or like see, but like I think this book at this point is a little bit outdated to go to a page and be like, oh, let's go to Barrow's house in Dorset, Vermont. I mean, I definitely think that this is like an interesting kind of like maybe historical study, because I'm sure that the rates aren't $30 a night anymore, if it even still exists. But so maybe I'll read it one day, or maybe I'll just like pick it up every now and then if I'm going to go to that area or something. But I definitely think it's interesting, but I don't know if I'll count it, because like technically it's my grandparents that I just borrowed. Don't know why I borrowed it, and don't know whether I'll read it. Definitely interesting though. So anyways, then also I was going through some of these books, and then there's like one book, like every now and then there'd be a book where like, oh, I thought I had a copy of that. So it seems like I may have a little bit of adding to my library to do. But oh no, book shopping. I'm gonna need to make a list of books that eventually I'll need to like buy to add to my library if I really liked them. So so we'll see. But anyways, there are a few books that I also had in my shelves that I've decided like I don't really want anymore. So I'm not gonna count those either. And there's only 3 of those, and it shouldn't affect your original guessing. Although if you're 3 books off, maybe you did a good job. I don't know. Still don't have the number yet, so I'm going to start counting. And I think I'm going to show you every book, but I'm going to speed it up quite quick, so it won't make this video so long. But like you can see the books that I have, and then like if we have similar books that we haven't read, that'd be kind of cool to like talk about them together once you read them. So, or like plan to read them at the same time, or like, I don't know, I just think that'd be kind of cool to like see, you guys can see what I have, and then like, if we have similar books, you can comment them below, like, oh, I have that too, I haven't read it yet, or whatever, and then we can maybe like read them together. So I think what I'll do is within each category, I will separate the books for ones that I have read and ones that I haven't, and count them, and then we'll meet back with a number of how many books that I have in total, and how many books that I have read that I have, and that I have read, and that I have not read. So we'll be back with some numbers after a bit more organizing and some counting. much bigger undertaking than I anticipated. I know that I have quite a few books, but I didn't really think that it would take as long as it did to unload everything and then organize it all. I kind of thought that it was a little bit more organized in my bookshelf, so honestly, I'm disappointed in myself for not keeping it up to good standards. But anyways, I have everything organized. I'm sure that you've all been on the edge of your seats waiting to know how many books I have and how many of those books have I not read yet. Because I was very curious. So I think that I guessed at the beginning of this project I had maybe like around 400, probably not exactly. I didn't think I had 400, but I thought maybe it'd be close to 400. I was actually wrong about that because I had a very round number of books, which is fun. And I kind of, it was kind of surprising. And I know that I have more than this as far as like books that are mine to my name, but I don't actually have them with me. Ones that I actually have with me now, I have 300 books. And exactly 300 books. I could not believe it when I counted. I counted twice to make sure. But yeah, I have 300 books, and that does include like a couple of books that I won't actually read probably, but like are more just helpful or like coffee table type books. Like I do have some books on like gardening, which I should probably read because I am interested in the subject, but I just don't foresee myself reading it cover to cover. But I do think I should flip through it and I would enjoy it. So I have things like that, or like I have a book about sign language, which again, probably won't read cover to cover, but will probably reference if I, reach my goal of learning that as a language. I would love to learn sign language. I would love to learn a second language, period. So that's definitely a goal of mine. But anyways, back to the actual topic of this video. I have 300 books, and of those 300 books, there are 164 of them that I have not read yet. So I have a bit of work to do. I know like several of those books are like I said, books I'm not intending to read cover to cover, but I did count them in that 164. So I think what I'm gonna do to like make this year's list of reading possibilities a little less daunting is I might kind of like narrow it down to like maybe my top 50 or my first 25 or something like that I can pull from. Whereas like, I don't know, it just seems 164 seems a little intimidating. So I may do that, but in the meantime, 164 books that I have not read of the 300 that I own. So that's actually a little more than a half. So I don't know whether that's embarrassing or whether that's actually common for a person who likes books, but if you can relate, please let me know down below. I'll feel a lot better. But anyways, so now the next thing I have to do is I have to put everything away. So I took everything off, and I think that was like the easy part. Oh my goodness, did you see that stack almost attack me? You probably didn't see. I think it's a little off frame, but I have a stack. You can probably see the top one moving. Actually, this one's a really pretty copy. I don't know if you caught it in the previous clip, but it's this like really pretty copy of Little Women, which surprisingly enough, I have not read this. What the heck? This is one of, I really enjoyed the movie. I've seen like several adaptations of the movie, but why have I never read this? So this is definitely going to be read this year. It's a goal. So anyways, but yeah, this stack of books here, taunting me. But anyways, point proven. I need to now put all this stuff away. I feel like it was a lot easier to take it off than to kind of figure out where everything should go. So that's going to be for the next video, and I'll post it pretty quickly after this one, so you don't have to wait and see how everything looks, but I have to figure out now how to organize it all on my shelves. So that's my next task. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Stay cozy, friends.